All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. We're going to give you a little insight into a unified collaboration, Marco's new UCaaS offering. We'll do quick little intros of everybody here that's on the call from Marco. We'll go through what is unified collaboration as a service, a few of the key features that are included in the solution. We will also be doing a live demo and then talking through the business benefits of unified collaboration. So I'm Chris Dar. I'm Senior Solutions Manager here at Marco for collaboration. Joining me today is Eric Hassler, Senior Solutions Sales Consultant, and Chris Kadoon, Senior Solutions Engineer. If you have questions throughout this presentation, please drop them into the chat. We do have a section here at the end where we're going to answer any questions that you guys may have during this presentation. With that, I will turn it over to Chris Kadoon.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. So just a little bit about what UC is, or UC as a service. These first couple slides here are going to be just kind of a general overview of what UC is, not particularly pertaining to Marco's UC, but more of in a general sense. So let's run through that. So first off, what is as a service? So these could be, not just UC. There's lots of different as a service options or solutions out there today. But this is in general as it kind of defines what as a service is. Cost efficiency. So that's going to be a big one for as a service, meaning that a lot of these solutions are ready to go. You can basically have a subscription to the service and just go ahead and license whatever it may be with whatever provider, and then usually the solution is ready to use. So you don't have to turn up servers or install software, those types of things where you would with a typical on-premise solution. The next thing is can be scaled up and down very easily. So depending on the as a service solution, again, most of them can be scaled up and down very easily, meaning if you have, let's say 100 employees during your busy season and maybe 80 employees the rest of the year, you could scale that solution up and down very easily. And then usually the subscription or the pricing goes up and down with that. So it's very simple there. Maintenance and support is usually included with it as well. So meaning if you have issues with the solution, you need to do upgrades, or usually they're upgraded automatically, but all of those things are included within that subscription that you pay, meaning you don't have to pay someone to come on site, upgrade your software on your servers, those types of things. Requires little to no customer intervention to set up and maintain. Again, along the same lines, typically, again, they're all ready to go. There's little customer intervention, meaning like you don't have to, figure out how to install and program the solution. Usually you just log into an interface, add your users or whatever the application may be, and it's ready to go and it just works. So pretty simple there. Delivered over the internet. So a lot of the times these solutions are delivered over the internet. They don't necessarily have to be, but most are, meaning that whatever existing internet service that you have is going to allow you to get access to these as a service options. And then the biggest, key efficiency of this is it allows the customer to focus on core business. So, most customers don't want to spend a lot of time turning up and developing applications to use in their business. They'd rather focus on their core, things that deliver money to the business essentially. So, there you go. What is unified communication? So again, this is kind of just a general description of it, not necessarily Marco's, but usually it includes calling, meetings, contact center, meeting rooms, file sharing, groups and spaces. Those types of features are usually a part of the UC solution. Features many app integrations. So a lot of times customers have like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics, Service Desk. There's lots of different applications out there, and they want their UC solution to integrate to that. And it could be as simple as, when a customer calls in, it opens up a screen within Salesforce, to the customer account, et cetera. Those things are usually native within the UC applications, or already developed and easy to turn on. Cloud-based phone system. So usually most of the UC solutions are cloud-based, meaning you don't have to install on-premise equipment to make the system work. It's already, again, all set up as the service piece of it in the cloud. It usually works with desk phones, soft phones, and mobile apps. So any combination of those three typically, and some customers may have one, two, or all three of those, just depending on the needs within the business. And then allows for optional add-ons like connectivity, firewall, and more. Typically, with these types of solutions, there's offerings for like a firewall and maybe a switch, and then to have those solutions managed as well with the same UC offering. And even sometimes the connectivity piece, you may need internet at a location or maybe some better internet. Those can be wrapped into the solution as well and the offering. So pretty straightforward. So a little bit more specific now on Marco's actual service. So ours is Unified Collaboration, and it's powered by Webex by Cisco. So basically, we're building on top of the Webex calling portfolio or meetings and all the different things that are offered in there as a solution. So first off, on the Webex side of it, this is kind of what their offering includes. Calling, meetings like Webex meetings like we're on now, messaging and team tools, so that may be just instant messaging or chat between employees within the company or external employees or customers. Device control, so usually that's part of like a desk phone, or maybe you have a meeting room with some type of functionality that's integrated. Integrations, again, that's with like those screen pops, third-party applications. There's over 400 calling features available. So, and that's usually just like maybe buttons on phones, ring groups, hunt groups, call center, all types of things like that. Call recording is part of the solution. Built-in redundancy. So Cisco actually has multiple data centers nationwide that this solution runs on. So you're not reliant on a single data center or a single place for the system to connect to. If there was an outage, let's say on the East Coast, it'll fail over to the upper Midwest data center, or et cetera. And then web desktop and mobile app. Obviously, there's lots of different ways you can access this tool. And then what Marco brings to the table is kind of the wrapping the entire thing together, putting all the pieces that need to be a part of the solution to make it work and be, the longevity of it be there. The first two are going to be the unlimited usage and the national coverage. So actually the phone services, and that could be like your long distance calling, your DIDs that come into the system, and all those things. So as part of this, obviously we include the trunking or the phone lines, so you wouldn't necessarily have to get your phone lines from your local phone company any longer. Those costs would be go away, and then they would move on to the solution essentially as part of the packages. No charge move add changes. So as part of the management, again, we include all of the maintenance. So if you need, let's say, as simple as a user's name updated or a voicemail box reset, those are going to be a part of the solution. Simply by calling or emailing or opening up a web portal to our service desk. Unlimited US-based support. So this is actually supported, maintained, and managed by Marco. We have a help desk that's based in the upper Midwest, and that's who you would be getting all of your support from. There's no third-party support or anything involved. SIP handsets, so this solution natively supports a variety of different handsets. With this offering, we actually we strategized or incorporated some Cisco handsets, so are kind of streamlined on a certain model set, but it does support things like Yealink and Polycom handsets as well. Something we'd have to check on a customer per customer basis, but there is that option there. Reporting and analytics is native in the solution. So both on the Webex side and then the Marco side, we do have some reporting and analytics available, for monitoring customers, et cetera. On-site install and onboarding. So this is a key piece, right? So with this solution, we have different options available for the on-site installation, remote installation. The onboarding obviously is going to include like the project management, the design of the solution, and all of the things that need to happen to make the solution work and get installed. And then also with that, we do have admin and end user training available. Again, different flavors. Starts with web-based like self-paced training. We do have remote leader-led training, which again would be a Marco employee doing that training. And then lastly, on-site training by, again, a Marco trainer. And then all this wrapped together, we do have flexible contract terms available. So depending on the customer's need, there's different options for the actual contract terms and the amount of months. for the solution. So moving on here, this is the Webex application itself, and this is what it looks like on a Windows or a PC, essentially. I'm going to just briefly cover the different features within this client, and then Eric Hassler is actually going to be doing a live demo here just shortly, showing in depth what all these things are. Starting at the upper left here, we have the chat option. So that's going to be instant messaging or chat within your company to other employees. And like I mentioned earlier, you can also chat to external contacts that use Webex as well. The next one down is going to be your groups or spaces. And what this is used for is typically like an ongoing meeting or a project. So let's say you have maybe 5 or 10 people that are involved, in a specific project that's going on, and it's ongoing for maybe a couple months or even a year. What happens in this space is once you create the space, you add your people to it, and you can actually upload documents, you can create meetings, and then chat as well within that. And it's just kind of an ongoing meeting. Again, Eric will show that live here. The next is going to be your contacts. This is going to be the corporate contacts, obviously, that are built into the UC solution or programmed on the solution, as well as personal contacts. So like if you have Outlook contacts or an Office 365 account, for instance, those can be pulled in as well. The next one down is going to be our calling platform. So the window that's actually showing on the screen right now is the calling screen. The next one down is going to be our voicemail option. So you can see all your voicemails. And then the last one's going to be our calendar integration. So again, it'll integrate with like your Outlook or Office 365 account to pull in all your meetings in one spot so you can see what's going on. Another thing, this is a video first application as well. So if you're having a call between 2 different employees within the Webex application, video can be turned on or off, as well as obviously the audio for that call. So a little bit about that. The client itself is both desktop and mobile friendly. So like it says, offers a universal experience across all the devices, meaning there is a Mac client, a PC client, there's an iPhone client, as well as an Android client. And across all of those, it is a very similar experience for your employees. So they switch from one to the other. It's going to be very, very similar as far as the features and how to navigate within the applications. A lot of people will have, let's say, the desktop application, and then they have, let's say, the iPhone app on their iPhone loaded. And by having those 2 different things, it makes it very simple to transition between. So if you're on a meeting on your desktop and maybe you need to jump in your car and go to your next meeting or whatever it may be, you can easily transition or flip between the 2 different devices, whether again, it's a WebEx meeting or maybe just a voice phone call that you're on at the current time. They also do support integrations with like Apple CarPlay as well. So if you're using a device or a vehicle that supports both of those things, it will work. As far as hardware options, so the WebEx application is a native softphone client, right? And a lot of customers will say, well, hey, I don't want a soft phone. I want desk phones yet in my environment, or maybe it's a mixture of both. Which is perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong. Some customers may want all desk phones. Some maybe want all soft phones or a mixture of that. Again, doesn't really matter. But with this solution, we do offer a variety of different Cisco desk sets that are available, from very, very simple phones all the way up to a high-end color phone, just depending on the needs. With that, we also do support headsets. So Cisco has quite a variety of headsets that are available as part of the solution. And then third-party headsets are supported like Plantronics, Jabra, etc. And then lastly, Cisco has quite a video presence, application. Obviously, it's a video first solution. With that, they do offer all kinds of different AV type equipment, including cameras, room kits. There's whiteboards and as well as microphones that can be all integrated with the WebEx solution. And they're obviously natively supported, so it works very, very well. That's all I have for now. Eric, you want to take over and do the live demo?
Thanks, Chris. So here on my desktop, we have the live WebEx application running in a Windows environment. First thing I will highlight is that you'll probably notice I'm running this in a browser. That is just a remote desktop session so that I'm able to demo WebEx for you while I'm in a WebEx. But this is an application that will run locally on the desktop. In this scenario, I am running it in light mode. There are about 8 different color flavors that users can select on their own. If someone prefers working in a dark mode type configuration, that's definitely an option. But what I will walk you through then are some of the, the common components within the solution. And as I'm doing that, we'll kind of walk through each one of these icons on the left side. You will see we can expand these out. A lot of users tend to keep that out for about the first day or two, and then as they get to more familiarity with the application, for the sake of screen real estate, we can zip that back in. But first thing you'll notice in the upper left corner here is my profile and my status green. I am able to change that status here from to a busy or a do not disturb for a set amount of time. I can also set quiet hours, so perhaps I have this installed on my device and I don't want to be disturbed after my business hours. That's definitely an option, and each user can configure that on their own. The statuses here can integrate with your Outlook calendar if you do have Office 365. And then as we look down the left side, we have messaging first. This is right now in the all view. So this is showing all of my chats that are either one-to-one or group chats. You can see that Chris sent me a note, what's for lunch, and he's available. I can let him know that, hey, we're getting pizza. I can also parse this down to just my direct chats. So this would be just my one-on-ones, as well as spaces, which is the name for any group chats. In addition, we have public chat spaces. This is where you can have spaces that people across your organization can choose to join or remove themselves from. So many organizations will use this for all company chats or company events and things like that to allow people to participate as they see fit for their role. When I am in one of these chats, if we go back to Chris, again, we can see his status. Let's say him and I were chatting, and now we really need to determine where are we getting pizza. Let's be more efficient with our communication. Stop chatting, just talk live. At any point, I can escalate this conversation to an audio call. Again, just using the speaker and microphone in my laptop or my headset. I can escalate this to an ad hoc video call, as well as share my screen with him or schedule a meeting. When we move down the left side, the next section is Teams. This is very similar to the chat function, but is really designed for a group of people that are working on a similar project or projects. In this scenario, we can see we have our sales and engineering group. When I dive in there, I have multiple chat groups. Now, these do mirror some of the spaces that I had out in my group chats in the previous section, but this allows me to organize those in a way where I can more easily define, this is a specific project or a specific customer that we're working on. Inside of there, I can have my team chat where I'm collaborating with everyone across my team, or maybe my technical team where it's just more specific individuals that are getting into a specific topic. Within this team space, we are able to also, again, integrate with your calendar and schedule meetings right from the application. So you'll see here I had sent out a meeting for the technical deep dive team on October 30th. That's simply scheduled through the button up top. And if I was integrated with my Office 365, that would show availability for everyone in that group as well. And I could be able to just find that at free time, hit the schedule button, and that'll send it right out to everyone. If you prefer to work within the Outlook application, there is also a Webex plugin that just gets installed on the toolbar within your Outlook meeting invites. So we continue hopping down the line. Next, we have contacts. From this page, users can see everyone across their organization as well as their contacts that could integrate in from Office 365. Users can create their own groups. So I have my team as well as other contacts. It's very easy to add contacts to a group or move them to a different group. You'll see that it does show their availability. So I know that Chris and Chris are, again, both green and available. Chris is now gone busy till 1:50, so if I were to try to reach out to him, probably not going to have a great experience, might end up in his voicemail. In addition, You can also have a global address book. So in this example, we had a chain of hotels for a management company. The convenient thing there is by creating that global address book, it provides all of these contacts that anyone in your organization can search for. So you can have one unified address book for everyone and all of your employees. As we continue our journey down the left side, now we get to the real meat of the application, the calling side. On the left side window here, you'll see my full call history. That includes all calls inbound and outbound. I can also parse that down to just my missed calls. And as I hover over each of these, I'm presented with an option where I can easily call back via audio or video. If it were an internal employee, they could take that video call. On the right side, we have the dial pane. I can type in the box to type the phone number. I can click on the buttons, or as most customers start to move away from utilizing things like the actual phone number and extension, I can just search by someone's name. And again, you'll notice that same status pulls through, allowing you to have more efficient communication, because at a glance you can see, hey, was Chris already on a phone call? Probably not going to want to call him right now because I know I'm just going to land in his voicemail anyway. Down below here, you'll see that I am calling from my computer. Again, that's going to utilize my headset or my microphone and speakers. I can toggle this to a physical phone. So now I'm tied to my Cisco 8841 over my shoulder here. When I go to make a call out, it's going to call my phone, I answer it, and call the other person. So now I can have my physical phone still be the path for all of my audio, still have a crooked neck holding the phone on my shoulder, but do all of the call control right on the desktop, meaning I can put that call on hold. I can transfer that and have that visibility of others in the organization while still utilizing the audio from my physical phone. So all of that, let's take a look at a call coming in. So you'll notice I do get the pop-up in the bottom window. In this scenario, it does show that it's coming in through a queue. More about that shortly, but you can see that does show the office supply line is coming in on. When I answer that call, I'm presented with this window that shows all the call control, meaning I have my keypad. So if I were at an auto attendant, I needed to press 1 for sales, 2 for support. I can do that right here within the window. In addition, I have the options for putting that call on hold, transfer, conferencing. If I wanted to transfer that call, I'm presented with the familiar dial pad where I can enter in the extension of someone in the organization or the full phone number of someone outside the organization. Or again, I can just search for people. So with transferring this call to Chris, I have options of doing a consultant transfer where I can say, hey, Chris, I have Jeff on the line. Are you able to take his call and then merge those two calls together? Or I can do a transfer now or blind transfer where I just take that call, send it over to Chris. If he's available, he'll answer it. If not, it'll probably land in his voicemail. So really easy to handle those calls quickly and efficiently right from the desktop. Now, I did mention the call queuing. Again, that call had come in through a queue. The solution does include some basic call center functionality just right in the box. Down here, I have my user signed in to these 4 queues. I have an option as an agent to be able to log myself in and out of queues, or we can configure this where a user's options are grayed out and they're always just a member of that queue. Perhaps someone's a member of the Cedar Rapids main line. Well, we want to make sure someone's always answering that line. Let's gray that out, make sure they always stay logged in. In addition, from an outbound call perspective, I can configure this to allow me to change this on a per call basis. So right now, if I make a call out, you can see it says call as me, Eric Hassler, and my individual DID or phone number. If I toggle this here to the Cedar Falls main line, you'll notice it changed the number. So what that means is when I call somebody, they're going to see that number on their caller ID. And where that can be important is if they say didn't answer that call and they hit the callback button on their phone, they're going to be calling back into this main line or maybe the pilot number of a queue, as opposed to going to my individual DID, where maybe I'm the best resource to help them, or maybe somebody else in my organization should be, so we can direct that caller to the most appropriate location. To continue the journey around, call settings. This is where a user can determine, do they want to forward all of their calls to voicemail, similar to like a do not disturb function. Now, all of these tools are also available on the mobile device. So if I hop here over to my all, and now we're looking here on this window at my application, my Webex application running on a Android phone. You'll see it's the same detail on both of the phones, outlining the call history, the voicemail, etc., right on my mobile device. If I pull up the dial pad, if I make a call out from here now, this is not going to show my personal cell phone number. This will actually show my work DID or the main line for the organization, depending on how that's been configured. Another great feature within the app is this pull call button that we have right here. Where that is helpful is, let's say I am on a call at my desk and it's running long, I need to get to another appointment. I can hit that pull call button. That's going to seamlessly move that call from my desktop or from my physical phone over to this application in my cell phone. The user or caller on the other end doesn't hear any hold music or beeps or pops. It's just immediately connected. I can then continue that call on my cell phone, hop in my car where I'm connected to my Bluetooth, drive to my next appointment, and continue that conversation uninterrupted. I mentioned voicemail. That is available here right within the application. You will see that it does include transcription as well as the ability to listen to the audio right within the app. In addition, voicemail can be delivered via email, where it will again include the transcription in the body of the email and the audio file attached. Or if there are users that prefer to receive voicemails through their phone, you can absolutely still have the blinking red light on a physical phone and dial in with their PIN to retrieve voicemails that way. And that can be configured on a per user basis to ensure that everyone is operating with the system that works best for their needs and their role. Lastly, as we move down, is the calendaring and meetings. This again can integrate with your Outlook calendar. You can schedule a meeting right through here. You also have the ability to just start an ad hoc meeting. If I were to click this button here, that now copied that URL to my clipboard. I can drop that in a chat. I can drop that in an email. Someone clicks that link and they're just immediately in my personal room attending an ad hoc meeting. So from there, I will flip over then briefly to the administration side. What I do want to say is some users or some organizations, you may never log into this at all, because as Chris indicated, this is a fully managed solution from Marco. However, we do understand that some organizations do want to have the keys to the car, take it for a drive, make some of those easy changes on their own. We absolutely provide you that ability. And I'll show you how intuitive some of that can be here within the Webex Control Hub. This is a single pane of glass for all things managing the phone system, and it is accessible via any internet connection. So maybe you needed to make a quick change on a day where there was inclement weather and no one's going to the office. You can log in remotely and be able to still manage that phone system and make any changes. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a little brief window I like to show, especially for those people in IT roles that might have received the dreaded phone call from a user of, hey, we just had a bad call or bad audio quality. It was really choppy. And that can be a hard call to troubleshoot sometimes, because was that an issue with the internet connection, with our local network, with the trunking provider? There's a lot of variables involved. This allows us to drill down on a per call basis to be able to understand what was that call quality, what occurred, and how can we troubleshoot it. And I highlight this because these are the same tools that your teams have available to them, but also our internal teams. So when we look at supporting our customers and ensuring that you have the best call quality, we have these tools at our fingertips and can understand, hey, was that phone over a wired Ethernet connection or over Wi-Fi? What was the internet provider that was providing that connection? and allows us to get you that data where maybe it was a problem with the internet. Instead of just calling your ISP and saying, hey, our internet's bad, this can give us some very granular detail to support that call to your ISP so that you don't get stuck in that finger pointing game of it's your internet, no, it's your phone system. Moving over to some of the other analytics that are available. Again, the solution, including some call center functionality, allows for call queue stats based on both your customer experience. So what is it like when someone calls in? How long are they on hold? And then as well the agent experience, where you can look at what is the performance of your staff. When we look at the queue experience for your customers, it has those typical call center KPIs. So you can see your total number of answered calls, abandoned calls, your percentages of abandoned, what your average hold times are. And right now when I'm looking in this view, this is across all of my call queues. I can filter down here in this box via the individual queues or locations as well. And the data here is presented in multiple graphical ways. In addition, you do have all of the raw data at the bottom, which can be exported as a spreadsheet if you wanted to retain that or do further data analysis. When we look at the agent stats, again, this is looking at what is the performance of those members of those queues, of your employees that are taking calls. This allows you to see what was the total number of calls that were coming through the queue, what were the total number of bounced calls, or calls that someone called in and didn't get answered and they hung up, what was your average handling time. And all of this can be drilled down by an individual user perspective. So we can see the top 25 agents by the number of answered calls or the average talk time. And where this can be useful is maybe Chris and I are both members, agents in a queue, and Chris's talk time is 2 minutes, but mine is 5 minutes. Let's get an understanding of why is there such a big difference? Is there a coaching opportunity? Is there something we can do to be more efficient and effective? And then to just give you a quick view on how easy it can be to make changes within the platform if you wanted to, as opposed to opening up a ticket with Marco. We can look at something like an auto attendant. And that would be the menu that someone hits if you configured a menu instead of having live answer. You wanted someone to get a menu that said, press 1 for sales, 2 for support. That's as easy as configuring a dropdown. So maybe we wanted to change this, press 1 to be hit into a queue. Now I hit save. That's immediately updated in the phone system. You don't need to have a advanced understanding of telephony and phone system configuration to be able to come in and make a lot of those simple changes. That's just one example, but I'll be happy to show everyone it's additional during further meetings. So with that, Chris, I will hand the share back to you.
Sounds good, Eric. Well, I appreciate that. Let me grab the screen here. Welcome back, everybody. So we're just going to continue on here with a few more slides, just explaining the solution a little bit further, and then we'll move into the question and answer pieces here. So these are the different user packages available with our unified collaboration offering, and I'm just going to run through the different seat types here. So the common area, it is just that's going to be for like a break room, meeting room, maybe a lobby type phone. This would be a physical desk phone actually attached to that user. It does not include any of the Webex soft phone or desktop applications. So again, just that common area, or a phone that maybe it's in a warehouse and then it's actual user, but they make and receive phone calls there. That's all they need. The next is going to be our voice option, which adds in the actual Webex application on your computer or Mac or wherever you want to access that. It does include video calling, and it does include a call center, meaning it could be that user could be a part of an ACD or a call queue. The next one's going to be our calling feature set, where that adds in the actual instant messaging or presence pieces of it. So the teams, the spaces that Eric just showed. It also includes the video meetings. So that's going to be like the WebEx meetings piece of it, where you can send out an invite to a customer or employees, and they can join that meeting and share and collaborate and all those different things. The caveat with this one, it actually includes just up to a 40-minute meetings with this calling package. So it's something to keep in mind. If you have longer meetings than that, then that might not be suitable. And then moving down, additionally with this feature set, you do get call recording. This is going to be the what we call dub or go recording, and that's going to be the particular user can stop and start, control their recordings for their individual phone. And they do get access to a web interface to go in and manage and listen and play back those different recordings. The default retention on this one for the the included one is going to be 30 days. And then we do have additional packages that you can add on for the call recording for any of the users. The next one up essentially would add more retention to it. I believe it goes from 30 days up to 13 months or something like that. And then there's additional packages above that where if there's maybe a supervisor and 5 employees, maybe the supervisor wants to see all their employees' recordings, we can license for that as well. Business continuity, that's going to be like if the system's down, or let's say it's not down, let's say the end user's presence or premise is down, like they lose power to one of their locations, so they don't have internet, none of the Webex, applications on the PCs or the desk phones are connected any longer. That essentially allows that DID or maybe the main phone number to automatically be forwarded to a different place. So you might have it set up to automatically go to a cell phone number or something along those lines. So it's kind of a neat feature. It's kind of like call forwarding, but it's more than that because it's only in a down scenario where the Webex cloud cannot reach the end user's client, essentially. And then with calling, we just like to call this out. Hoteling, call park, and three-way calling are not available in the 2 lower packages. They do become available within the calling or above. So that's something to call out. And then with the suite package, the big difference here is just going to be the meetings, right? So if you look at the video meetings here, we do get the full Webex meetings package with unlimited, duration of those meetings included in that package. And then over on the far right here, we do have a meetings user type, and this is essentially just that. It's a user that just needs to send out Webex meetings, join them, present, whatever it may be, but they don't get any of the calling features with that particular package. And then kind of to end off on this slide itself, all of these, there's different prices obviously with these, common area on up, it kind of goes up from there. There is breaks or price breaks available depending on the volume or the number of users on the system. So keep that in mind, if it's like above 25 or 50 users, there's price breaks per user per month. And then we also, what was I else going to mention? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but that's kind of the big thing on the user options or calling packages. So business benefits. So moving to one of the as a service or the unified collaboration solution, there's some inherent things that happen or in business benefits essentially. The predictable cost model is going to be one of the biggest ones. So you know exactly what you need to budget. So let's say you're going to add 5 employees next month. You know exactly what it's going to cost per user per month to add those 5 employees for the UC tools themselves. Simplified billing, and really that just comes down to instead of having to have your phone company or phone lines from the phone company, maybe you're paying a vendor today to service and manage and upgrade your existing phone system and other things, right? Those all get consolidated into a single bill essentially. So you don't have to pay for your phone lines and your phone service separate to your vendor. It's going to be all included in one package. Inherent E911. So a few years ago, the Ray-Bombs Act and Kerry's Law came into effect. There's a couple things around those, but like the Ray-Bombs, for instance, that's really if you dial 911, it has to show a dispatchable location to the 911 operator. And what that means essentially is, if you have a user that's working either in the office or at home, or maybe they go back and forth between those 2 locations, it has to show the right address depending on where they are that day or at that time. So the solution does support, inherently the Ray-Bombs Act and dynamically updating the enhanced 911 location. And then the Kerry's Law is the other part of it where essentially you have to allow users to dial 911 without a 9 or 8 in front of it, so no prefixes. And then you do have to notify somebody internally or within the company or that building, particularly, that 911 call was made. So when the emergency services show up, they know where to actually send those people to help the person that's in need. Some other big things, AI-based recording. So AI is huge today. And with this solution, we do have some AI-based recording options available. And I kind of mentioned this in the user slide. But we do have what's called sentiment analysis, and that's going to be, kind of like emotion detection. So if you have a customer and an employee, talking to each other, and maybe, it's getting to be a heated conversation that, the customer's yelling or something along those lines, we can have automatically triggered alerts, pop up for like the supervisors, et cetera, to maybe, take part or join in that call or whatever they need to do to kind of maybe de-escalate the situation. The other piece is transcription. There's some pretty neat transcription features available with this solution, where obviously the call recordings would get transcribed, and then you do have access through a web portal to see those, as well as you could automatically maybe put them into like Salesforce or some type of a CRM, right? So you can go back and see, what you talked about, a month or a year ago. Call center features are native, like Eric had showed, built-in queues, analytics, etc. So you don't have to spend a bunch of money, adding a separate contact center service or call center service, or even installing it, those types of things, which is rather expensive. And then we do also have mass notification options available with this solution. And again, emergency and routine communications, but there's a lot of different use cases. It could be there's an intruder, locked in the front door, and we want to push a button on a phone or under a desk that, triggers some type of an alert, maybe silent, maybe loud, to let other people know something's going on. Or it could be even used for things like there's a tornado warning for our area. We want to alert everybody to take cover, maybe on their computers or sending out a text message or things along those lines. So lots of options to that solution that's just barely touching the surface of it. But those are the biggest business benefits that we see. From the support standpoint, like we had mentioned, this is a completely managed solution. With the solution, you do get access to our help desk, which is 24/7. You can call, you can email, you do get access to a portal, an online portal where you can go and see all of your tickets. You can manage case notes, etc., escalate things, which is very, very helpful. The support desk is supported again 24/7. We do on-site between 8 and 5 normally, unless it's an emergency type situation, but something like this is a cloud-based solution, so there's not a lot to be on site for. And then we also do measure our service metrics. So we do have very, very detailed slides I can share. I'm not going to do it today, but we do track all those types of analytics, like our live call answer rates, our remote remediation rates, how long it takes us to close tickets once they're opened, all those types of things. So we can definitely share those if you have any interest. And then again, around the support, why Marco? Again, things like user changes, those are all included. Maintenance, upgrades, patches, inherently all included within the Webex application. Data security and privacy protection. So the Webex application is HIPAA compliant. It does, follow all the federal, guidelines and rules for all those different compliancies. Marco itself, we do have a CISO and an entire security org within Marco that just looks at security practices and makes sure everything is up to snuff. And then the last thing, we do have service level targets and SLAs available. If someone would like to see them, we can definitely provide them after the call today. From there, I'm gonna toggle over to Kim.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a reminder, I've been putting in here, but if you have any questions that you want, please drop those into the chat and we'll try to answer those as well. So the first one that I have, Chris Dar, will go to you. How far in advance would you recommend starting the plan if they're going to try to move to UCaaS?
So it's a great question. It depends, right? So our standard deployment is 45 to 90 days. A lot of it does depend on the customer's schedule along with our schedule, right? So, when we are designing this, we do have to get call flows and understand how you want the system to be configured and operational. So a lot of it does depend on that part of it too. So we always say anywhere between 45 and 90 days from when we execute an agreement to implementation. It's never too soon to talk about it. If you're a year out or 2 years out, it's great to have a conversation and just know we need to start looking at that in the future. If it's within the next year, we should probably start planning now because years go by really quick. We're almost at the end of 2023 and moving into 2024. So never too soon, but within a year, we should probably be having a conversation.
Great. All right, this next one's for Eric. So what would be the main benefit for this service over Microsoft Teams, or do they work together?
Yeah, I would say there's probably three things to focus on when we compare this solution versus Teams. First would be analytics, management, and then also, to your point, integrations with Teams. To expand upon those analytics, you got a very, very brief tour of that during the demo there, but basically that helps demonstrate how ingrained analytics are in the platform. All of the KPI metrics, if you have a call center, or analytics around, call volumes, call flows, full call detail records, are all available natively within the solution. When we look at a Teams calling environment, typically that needs to either be added via a third-party solution or within like Power BI. So someone needs to go in and build out all of those reports, and then ultimately who manages those reports or makes changes as they're needed, versus having those right inside of a native solution like we have with our UC. The other side would be management. When we look at a Teams-based solution, typically organizations I see that are the most successful are larger ones that have very, very dedicated IT staff, dedicated people working in their calling environment, because typically with Teams, you're working with a carrier, whoever's providing the dial tone, and then likely Microsoft support forums. When we compare that to what we're talking about today with Marco's UC, it is a fully managed solution. So we're here to help with everything and remove any of that finger pointing that could exist between multiple technology providers. Then lastly, integrations. There's absolutely a plugin for Teams available for Webex, so we can just tie those two together as well.
Great, thanks. The next one I have is for Chris Kadoon. So do we have to change phone companies if we move to this new offering?
Yeah, good question. And the answer is yes. You definitely have to move phone companies. So what happens, there's a process called porting. When you move to a solution like our Unified Collaboration, we would go through a process called porting. Essentially, we do some checks and balances on the front end of that. So we make sure that your numbers are movable or portable to the solution. And once they are verified that they are, obviously there's some things we have to do. Verify some phone bills with the old provider, show proof that you actually own the phone numbers, and then they do some scheduling, or our project team essentially would schedule the port of the numbers from the old phone company to the new solution, and like the go live date, for instance. But that's something that's all taken care of as part of the process. And like you said, you wouldn't need your old telephone provider anymore. The thing I will mention, you may need the old phone company provider for, is if you have things like an analog line for your fire panel, or maybe an alarm system, you may want to keep the couple lines with them for those particular reasons. But other than that, you would not need the older provider.
Chris Starr, I have one for you. What prerequisites should be looked at to make the transition smoothly? Phone number, transferring, et cetera, or possible biggest points of friction to think about?
I think Kadoon just kind of answered a few of those questions, but that's where we have a solutions consultant and engineering team here at Marco that will help navigate that process on the front side through a discovery conversation, right? So we want to make sure that what we're saying is possible, but also making sure that we don't miss something like, hey, I do overhead paging in the warehouse, or hey, I got this fire alarm panel that needs to have connectivity as well. So through that discovery process and design and engineering process, we'll, identify those things that could add a little bit of friction towards the end. But also on the front side, when we're doing discovery, we're going to make sure the solution actually meets your needs. And if it doesn't, we have other solutions that could meet the needs of your business. So we're talking about unified collaboration here today, but maybe it's not the right fit. Maybe one of our other products is. And so we do have that capability of not just having unified collaboration. We have a plethora of products at our fingertips to meet the needs of your business.
Great. All right, next one is for Mr. Hassler. Are we able to have full control over user account creation modification, or do we have to submit a ticket to Marco every single time?
Yeah, so the Control Hub management portal that I had shown, that allows pretty much all management of the phone system for our customers' IT teams to be able to get in and make those changes. The only thing that wouldn't be included in there is if someone needed to add a user, for example, and didn't have a license available. Since there is a billing cost associated with that, we would want to reach out to Marco. We can increase your licensing counts and make sure you have an appropriate level. But beyond that, yes, you can go in, change those hunt groups, change agent queues, change someone's picture, change a background on a physical phone, whatever it might be. A lot of that control we do put in our customers' hands if they'd like to get in there and do that.
Perfect. And then Chris Gadoon, this one sort of follows up with that second one, but like, what are some common support questions that come into Marco that you see?
Yeah, a lot of times it's just basic things, like every day, like, hey, I need to update a name on a phone, or maybe we don't know how to get into someone's voicemail box. A lot of other things like, hey, it's Christmas tomorrow. Is our greeting going to change to our closed greeting? How do I know that, and those things can be taken care of by our help desk, or they could help you navigate, through the console like Eric was just talking about. It's totally up to the customer. If they want to be hands off, that's perfectly fine. Just tell us what you want or what your desire is, and we'll get it taken care of for you. So.
Okay. All right. Chris Starr, we had another question come in. Are Google Voice numbers able to port into this system?
I'd have to know the specific number, but we have a couple different tools at our fingertips where we can put the number into the system and it'll tell us whether or not it is portable. The likelihood is yes, but without having the physical number to check, wouldn't be able to say yes at this point in time. But again, that we do that on the start. That way we're not wasting anybody's time saying, hey, I want to go to the cloud. Well, none of my numbers are portable, and the likelihood of me getting rid of my local number or my main number is not likely, right? So we always do that on the front side and validate that. But yeah, if you have the number, feel free to send that over to your technology advisor, and we could check portability within the matter of seconds. So.
And we have obviously two Chris's, so Kadoon, that should have gone to you. So sorry about
That's
that,
okay.
Chris. Do you have anything else to add about that? That's why I'm just gonna call you last names from now on, right?
No, that's a perfectly good answer. It
Okay.
depends is the answer, but we can check very easily. So.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, guys. And then Hassler, this one's for you. I'm not happy with our current service provider for internet. Does Marco help with that as well? Because I feel like that's a key piece of making sure this works well.
Absolutely. Yeah. If customers would like to evaluate their internet options, Marco does partner with many, very long list of internet providers and can help you evaluate, your current environment, whether it's looking to change a provider or even just evaluate your current spend and see if perhaps there's a savings to be found by moving to another provider or building in a resiliency or DR type plan around your internet. That's something that the Marco team can definitely help with.
Perfect. Well, we're getting some really good questions. And Kadoon, I'm going to call out this one for you.
Sure.
We have an on-prem system today. Not sure if we can move to the cloud because of the current infrastructure. Is this still an option?
Yeah, and again, it depends, but more than likely it is an option. Yeah. So what I would suggest in that scenario is you probably need to just engage the technology advisor, whoever your sales rep is, Marco, and they'll bring in Eric or I or someone from our team, and then we can talk to you about all the things, the prerequisites, what's needed, check portability like we had talked about. Do you have decent internet? All the things that we need to have in place to migrate from a prem to the cloud. But more than likely, the answer is yes. It's just some things we have to check off the list to make sure everything's good.
Okay, perfect. And then Hassler, this was like the last question unless we get something else in. In the demo, you mentioned queue capabilities. What's the difference between a queue and a larger call/contact center?
Yeah, perfect. I would say the solution that we had shown today is a call center. And I'm highlighting call versus a contact center, where typically when I think of a contact center, we're looking at many potential app integrations where you're deeply integrating into CRMs and ERPs, and you're also adding in digital channels like SMS text messaging, maybe social media integrations, email, things like that into that contact center experience. The solution that I demo today is really around the calling experience. So it's a great fit for those organizations that are really working in a calling medium. That's the main way they're interacting within that center. However, if someone does have a need for the full contact center, we do have solutions that meet that need as well, and can definitely pivot towards that if that's the right fit.
Perfect. All right. Well, I was going to say, I'm going to give you another minute. We have a couple more slides, but if anyone wants to drop one last question in, drop into the chat. And then, Kadeen, can you share those last slides with us, and we'll go through that.
No problem. All right, here we go.
So I'll run through this slide here real quick. We've been talking about unified collaboration today. We did want to remind everybody that we do more than just unified collaboration. So we do have, Mitel on-premise solutions still available. Voice as a service, or VAS as we call it internally, is still one of our really good go-to cloud-based solutions, and also Teams calling. So we talked a lot today about unified collaboration, and that question asked earlier, hey, like, what if this isn't a fit, or maybe there's something that it doesn't quite do? We do also have these other solutions at our fingertips to make sure that, what we're saying and what we're going to sell you is the right solution to meet your needs for now and in the future, right? So we're not just thinking about today or tomorrow, we're thinking about a year, 2 years from now. Where could your business go that we need to make sure the system meets those needs? So just know that we do have other voice solutions at our fingertips to assist you on that road.